Hi everybody, welcome to Latina Nomad.
Hi.
Yesterday we introduced Elba, who spoke to us about her goal setting and how that's helped her manage being an amazing mom, as well as successful in the advertising industry, who has been able to put it all together and be able to still fulfill her own goals, personal goals with traveling and everything else. You can catch that on our website, latinanomad.com, and check it out on YouTube, and the video will be there.
She happens to be one of my biggest inspirations.
Awesome. Yes, she's really amazing. So with that, we want to introduce you to Michelly, who I am just meeting for the first time. So thank you so much for making this happen, for accommodating this.
Thank you for having
And
me.
today we are going to be speaking about her career, her personal life, and just goal setting and how that's played an integral part in her life. So Michelly, thank you for having us here. So
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So talk to me about, first of all, let's let people know what you do.
So I do a couple of things. Professionally, I am a social work administrator. I run an early childhood program that works with families that are pregnant or parenting newborns to children age 3. That's my full-time position.
How does that, talk to me about that job. What's the day-to-day like? Are you constantly working with children and the families, or what's a typical day in your life?
So as an administrator, I really am supporting staff to support families. And so I do have some family interactions because the way that our office is set up, we have a room where families come, we have our groups. I'm very connected in terms of having parents on a council, helping us as a program make decisions about what would be best for the families that are participating in our program. However, it's a lot of administrative work, a lot of report writing, a lot of supervision. I have a wonderful team of managers that I'm really grateful for. We're a fairly new team, because I just took this program over in February of 2015. And so the last 2 years have been pretty amazing in that I've been able to sort of develop and nurture something that is my own, that comes from my own sort of experiences and successes and even challenges with families and even personal experiences. And so day to day, I sit at my desk, make a lot of telephone calls. I'm on the computer a lot, but also have a lot of staff coming in and out.
Was this where you wanted to be? So you said this started 2 years ago. How long have you been working in this industry or with that specific company?
So I work at a program at a hospital, and so I've been at the hospital for 9 years.
Oh wow! Is that where you wanted to be? Like, talk to me about how you got there. Was that a goal you had, or?
It was, although it wasn't something that I set long term. It was something in relocating back to New York City. I decided that I wanted to kind of delve into being a supervisor, because at that point I felt like I had enough experience and enough education that I could be supportive and lend, and share information and share my own experiences and insights with people. And so I interviewed, just on the wing of it. I saw some supervisory positions available. I interviewed, and it took a while. I was told I had the position. It took me 4 months before actually starting.
Wow.
And I was young, and so I began to supervise people that were older than me, which was a challenge because there's always a question as to what does this person have to offer me, and what do they know about what it is that we're doing here. But I think I did envision myself, directing something big, yet wasn't sure how I was going to get there. And luckily for me, I had a mentor that really saw strengths in me that I didn't even see, and whatever it was that she saw, she really groomed and she nurtured, when there were things that came up for me in the workplace that were challenging. She kind of created opportunities for me to get trainings, You know, social work practice is very reflective and kind of thinking like what's happening for you in the moment, right? What's happening for you here, and what is truly the issue, and how is it that we can work through this? Because it's never just about the workplace. It's about all of our experiences, right? What does this create for me? What does it bring up in me?
That's amazing, because we did speak about that when we were with Edwin in the first interview. That mentorship is something that not everyone pursues, but yet it's so integral in our careers. Getting someone that supports you, and like you said, I think you said it. You hit it on the nose, that you need people to see the stuff that you can see in yourself. I think that we're always our own worst critics, and it's really hard for us to see our own potential and our own opportunities and where we could take that. So that's incredible. So right now, you said in the last 2 years you've been in this new position.
Mm-hmm.
So being in the company, in the hospital for so long, did you set the goals to be in this position and get into it? And what was that like? Or was it just that the opportunity popped up and you jumped at it?
I think the opportunity. I think I was really reared, and I was groomed for the position without really being cognizant of it, right? So I think that my mentor, because people sort of outlive, positions and agencies and programs, and so she had been there as long as I had been there, even longer, and so I think her time came to do something much bigger, and so understanding that the investment that she kind of put into me was really preparing me for to take over and for this role. And so when it happened, I felt ready. I felt like, yes, I would like to do this, because I know that if I do it, I have ideas, I have things that I want to kind of bring to fruition that I think are quite possible. And through her sending me to trainings, postgraduate fellowships, it allowed me learning opportunities. I got to understand the work at a very profound level, which, sort of invigorated me, right? Because when I came back to the Bronx, there's very little people, and there's very few Latinas and very few people of color with a specialty in infant parental health. And for me, I felt like I need to use this. I need to share this. And how do I bring this back to my program? How do I share this information with my families in a way that is useful, and that puts us in a place where we can provide the absolute highest quality of service to a community that is most absolutely underserved, is underrepresented, and, where resources are very scarce. And nowadays, I take it very personally, because I think I'm also an advocate for these families. I look to empower them, because to them, I value them. Their life is worth a lot to me, and I want them to feel that about themselves. And I think this work has made that possible. That with what we learn and the expertise that we gain and we bring back, we share. It's like a gift that we kind of impart, not just with our staff, but with the people that we work with. And it's a beautiful thing when you have people that, we're actually, as a program, we're talking about going to Washington, D.C. in January, for the Women's March. And, the staff were just like, really? And I'm like, yeah, we should go, right? Because we're women, and, we have a voice, and, we need to kind of voice that, that we matter. And not only are we women, but we're women of color, because my staff is very diverse. You have people from Haiti. I have someone who hails from West Africa. You have, Latinos from the Caribbean and from Central America. So you have Dominican people represented. I have actually a few staff that are from Honduras. I have one Black African American woman, and so the diversity, that it's like a diaspora, right? Excuse me. Mm-hmm. How great would it be to take that to DC, right, and talk about how we matter, right? Yeah. And so in sitting and planning with my parents on my council who help us make decisions about our program, I kind of put that out there and said, we as a staff are going to go, but we want to think about opening this up to families, because post-election, if I can be very honest, these are the issues that I think now I feel I need to be active in, right? And I want my families to understand that they do matter, and they need to feel empowered. Whatever it is that whatever it is that is happening in the moment, I need them to feel like there is something that they can do, even if it is just to go and to kind of march and to kind of represent themselves. And so,
let me take you back a little.
Sure.
So how do you manage, because I went from being in corporate to working with the homeless children throughout New York City inside the shelters, and even though we're not on the ground all the time, like you said, we do interact with the families, and there's certain things that happen, the dynamics of the family, especially with the children, because you're working with the infants and all. How do you manage that emotional take that happens, and how do you keep that separate from your day-to-day? Because it's from what you're saying, there's like this whole emotional attachment that you have to it, right? To the family.
I turn red, right?
Yeah,
and I got over.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So you have the attachment, not just to your job itself, which is an amazing commitment, but you have this emotional attachment and this type of ownership that you want to be able to do more for these families the same way we do, and then you have the emotional attachment to your staff. So how does that transition into your personal day-to-day, and are you able to keep it separate, or does it mesh in together? How does that work for you?
It's interesting, because I don't know that I can keep it separate. I think that I'm very much a very passionate and compassionate person. I think about people and think about what they might be experiencing. And I don't think it's just because I've been trained to be empathetic or to think about how other people are feeling, but I just think that it's really something that comes naturally to me. And so I don't know that I want to disconnect from that, because that's truly who my essence is, right? And so when I think about my staff, or if I think about a family that's having a challenging time, I don't per se separate from the feelings that come up for me when I think about them or when I'm working for them. But I think what I do try to do is really take care of myself in a better and more cognizant way, right?
Okay.
So if there's something very challenging happening, it lets me know, what, today you got to be extra good to yourself. What is it that you're going to do? And that doesn't mean, like anything extravagant, but it could just mean like, what, I'm going to watch 20 minutes of TV that I don't normally do, or
to just kind of disconnect.
Right.
Okay.
Well, yeah, like, and treat myself, because I think sometimes the challenge for me is that I do get stuck in giving. And so if I'm always giving of myself, and I need to kind of, give to me. And I think that that's my biggest challenge, is that understanding, like, this is a bit too much. You might be taking on a little too much. So setting goals is very important, and recognizing like what the steps and what the objectives are, and being very purposeful in my activities. Like, how is this, if I do this, how is this going to serve me in obtaining this goal? And so like that's where I'm at, but to say that I want to disconnect from that, I don't think that I can. I think I talk a lot about it. I reflect on what those experiences mean for me. How do I view it? How do I make meaning of what's happening, either for a family, or either for a staff member, or for myself as a, working with a family as a therapist? What is it that's happening? And just, just to kind of gain perspective. But as my inspiration, kind of like, traveling has become one of the things that has allowed me an outlet, and I love photography. I'm a novice photographer. I started it because my son was dancing. He and I delved into dancing, and he became a professional dancer, and he and I became connected at the hip at some point. And as a mother, you're proud of seeing your children, find a passion in something that they are really, that they thrive at. And so for me, photography became a way of documenting his journey, and it allowed me to see, wow, like I have talent, like I have an eye, like I have, something that other than work and other than serving families makes me happy. And so it really, it was this brilliant kind of like evolution, because now I find myself bringing that hobby and bringing that talent even into my workplace now, because I do my media. Whenever we have events, I photograph. We're working on, like doing little commercials, things like that. And I have the equipment, I have people that can support me in that. And so the product is even more rewarding, right? Because I'm getting to kind of merge, like pictures and pictures elicit a lot, right? Like you capture a moment that's just like touching,
story.
Right?
It helps you tell the story of what you're doing. So just for a second, so I want to take it back a little bit. So the big thing, which for you has been to keep that core of yours strong, right? Which is something that we keep discussing all the time, like building that core for yourself and having that strong core. So you said, a bit of it is taking the time out for yourself, and now it's transitioned into including traveling. So it's taking that time out for yourself if it means a break during the day, and traveling for you, and then tapping into this new creative side of you. So it started just to document your son, and now you're doing so much more with it. So when you started doing it, was it just like, let me just capture the moments with him, or was it with a goal in mind that you had?
It really was documenting his journey, and then in the product realizing, wow, there's potential there. And so the overachiever that I am, I then start taking classes, right? And then I start, I became an apprentice, to a photographer, to kind of be on the sets, go on weddings, to be a second shooter, learning the technical aspect of it.
So you took that interest and said, let me set goals to develop that interest even further. Okay.
And so, because I think that that's part of my perfectionist kind of like, attitude. Like if I'm going to do something, I'm going to try to do it to the best of my ability. And also, like it was, it just naturally evolved that way.
So did you set goals for 2016, and if so, what were they? Everyone always has New Year's resolutions, which is what we're trying to like equip everyone for. Did you have any New Year's resolutions this year that you set for 2016, or not really? Or it was kind of as you go throughout the year?
I think the biggest goal that I have for myself this year was to be patient with myself, because I knew that this year was going to be very challenging in terms of what I learned about myself as a leader, and what I learned about myself in terms of managing and multitasking, right? Because this year my responsibilities have really sort of skyrocketed. And while I've always been, I think, like what I would describe myself as is a great mother, one that is constantly there for their, her children, emotionally, I'm the oldest of 4 daughters, so I'm very much family oriented. Kind of thinking about, I've experienced life and have experienced positions where I've been really good at things, right? But this year was really just be patient, because you're going to be humble and you're going to be learning a whole lot of, I don't want to curse, a whole lot of stuff.
Taking on right? A bunch of new things.
Right. And so there's a lot that I don't know. And so there's a lot that I don't know, and be okay with that and be comfortable with the unknown. And, and in terms of goal setting, like, okay, there were a lot of professional goals that I had in mind, Another thing that I had for this year was traveling. So this was the first year that I took a very long vacation. I even actually traveled to a foreign country by myself, which I was super proud about, right? Because I'm like, I went with some friends, but I was there for a longer period of time. And so I had time to, revisit a spot that we went to together that I really enjoyed and just kind of took in the scenery. And so, like really feeding myself in that way. And so being able to do that, I felt like very accomplished. And I came back and, work sometimes when you step away from it and come back, it's either, things get done, things don't get done. And so building a team was also a goal of mine this year. And I'm ending off this year with a really fabulous team.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations, because I think that's the biggest thing, getting the right team to work with you and support your mission and what you're trying to do is so essential. I mean, I don't know what we would do at Dare to Be if we didn't have the team we have. So you've been setting a lot of goals for yourself, and it seems like you accomplished a lot of them. What was that process for you when you set a goal? Do you make a plan to set that goal, or how does it work for you? And I'm sorry, there's just some noise with the kids in the background, so I apologize for that.
We got family here.
Yeah, there's kids in the family, But
so, yeah.
go ahead.
It's interesting because when I think about goal setting and I think about New Year's, I don't think about New Year's. I think about my birthday. No,
okay.
I think my birthday.
Oh, you're like me.
That's my New Year.
That's
and
me.
Like dance, I'm kind of bouncing around, but it's because I have people in my space that I think it makes me want to acknowledge that through friends that I've made and that have become family, there has